globally, WHO continues to work aggressively on research and development. As you know, more than 2 months ago, we initiated the Solidarity trial to evaluate the safety and efficacy of 4 drugs and drug combinations against COVID-19. Over 400 hospitals in 35 countries are actively recruiting patients, and nearly 3,500 patients have been enrolled from 17 countries. On Friday, The Lancet, as you know, published an observational study on hydroxychloroquine and chloroquine and its effects on COVID-19 patients that have been hospitalized. The authors reported that among patients receiving the drug, when used alone or with a macrolide, they estimated a higher mortality rate. The executive group of the Solidarity trial, representing 10 of the participating countries, met on Saturday and has agreed to review a comprehensive analysis and critical appraisal of all evidence available globally. The review will consider data collected so far in the Solidarity trial and, in particular, robust randomized available data to adequately evaluate the potential benefits and harms from this drug. The executive group has implemented a temporary pause of the hydroxychloroquine arm within the Solidarity trial, while the safety data is reviewed by the Data Safety Monitoring Board. The other arms of the trial are continuing. This concern relates to the use of hydroxychloroquine and chloroquine in COVID-19. I wish to reiterate that these drugs are accepted as generally safe for use in patients with autoimmune diseases or malaria. WHO will provide further updates as we know more, and we will continue to work night and day for solutions, science, and solidarity. I thank you. Margaret, back to you for
Mike may wish to add. So as you know, the Solidarity trial has an oversight mechanism, an independent executive group that's made up of members from the participating countries, very senior experts. It has a representative of the Data Safety Monitoring Board, the trial statistician. So there's an independent Data Safety Monitoring Board. And then there's a larger steering group that's composed of 2 senior representatives of each of the participating countries. Now, when we saw the publication in The Lancet, while it's still an observational reporting of observational data, but from multiple registries and quite a large number, 96,000 patients, of whom about 14,000 or so had treatment with chloroquine with or without macrolide, or hydroxychloroquine with or without a macrolide. There was also a lot of questions coming from our own principal investigators in countries, and we knew that the regulatory agencies in many countries were also discussing these data. So the steering committee met over the weekend and decided that in the light of this uncertainty, that we should be proactive, err on the side of caution, and suspend enrollment temporarily into the hydroxychloroquine arm. And to answer your other question, we only have the hydroxychloroquine in this trial. We're not using chloroquine. The plan is now to look at data from the Solidarity trial. As the DG mentioned, we have about 3,500 patients randomized. Of course, not all of them have outcomes. We will also be writing to the principal investigators of all the other trials that are ongoing. We're aware of at least 7 other trials, including the UK's recovery trial, that are using hydroxychloroquine. And we will look at all the published evidence so far. We know there are very few and very small randomized trials, and that's why it's so important to continue to gather evidence on both the efficacy and the safety of hydroxychloroquine, because we know that the evidence from observational studies, however large they may be, are still subject and inherent to bias. And therefore, it's really important to have well-conducted RCTs done in large enough numbers in order to definitively answer this question, because we want to use hydroxychloroquine if it is safe and efficacious, if it reduces mortality, reduces the length of hospitalization without increasing the adverse events. So this is a temporary measure that's been taken by the steering committee. The Data Safety Monitoring Board will meet again as soon as we've collected all the data from both published and unpublished studies that are ongoing, and then we will review the decision again during the course of the next week or two. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Dr. Swaminathan. Dr. Ryan's going to add a few more remarks.
Just possibly add, to clarify for everybody, the steering committee and others who are over the trial, including WHO, we don't see the data. That's the purpose of the trial, is that nobody gets to see the data or interfere with the process. The Data Safety Monitoring Board, though, will be looking at the data and then will inform if there are any issues, and that the caution that Sumi refers to is purely to await a rapid analysis by the Data Safety Monitoring Board, and we would expect that if no signal is found of any problems, then we would continue to randomise and to use the drug. This has purely been done as a precaution in order to be able to have that data reviewed and have the proper process. This process has been carefully put together, and other trials that are currently underway have very similar processes associated with them. So this is a standard practice in order to be able to ensure that we're using the processes as designed with the partners in the trials and under regulatory guidance.